Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, welcome to our August Just Chatting session. How's everybody doing this morning? My name is rbPlays. I am your humble host on this side of the screen. Thanks so much for stopping by. If this is your first time here, then, have a seat, sit back, relax, listen to the conversation, see if you like what we do around here. If you do, then maybe consider hitting the old follow button, get notified every time we go live, which is every Saturday right now, this time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We try to stream here on Twitch every Saturday. We also try to stream on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, which you're not today because YouTube is being a pain in my bungholio, I can't figure YouTube out. YouTube's settings are so weird. Like I don't. YouTube wants the data to be transmitted to them at this, and Twitch wants their data to be transferred to them at this, and they're not the same. And so I keep getting these warnings on YouTube. Your stream isn't giving us enough data. I'm probably going to stop streaming on YouTube. Well, I mean, I'm not streaming on YouTube right now because I'm just gonna have to just go back to exporting the streams from Twitch over to YouTube because this is ridiculous. I can't do this every Saturday. I can't try to start a stream and then have it not work and have to stop the stream. But we got some recognitions we got to get out here real quick. First and foremost, Istrisi, 40 months. 80 months, excuse me, 80 months. Can I tell YouTube that you're going to take this data and like it? No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work that way. 80 months, Istrisi, 80 months subscriber. Thank you so much. Your support means a great deal to me. I'm dripping on my laptop. This is no good. It's a little humid. Cheers, buddy. Also, Diamond Anvil, 35 consecutive streams that you've been here. Cheers, buddy. Thank you. So what's been going on? I forgot to grab something. 80 months. That's like 4 years. Yeah. Wait a minute. 80 months? No. That's more than 4 years. That's more than that. 60 months is 5. 80 is like 20 plus 20 plus 40. Yeah, it is. 40 times 2, 10 times 8, 8 times 10, 2 times 40, 160 divided by 2, 800 times 10%. The math goes on and on and on and on. It's so good. I forgot to bring the cutting board in here that I'm working on, y'all. I was going to bring it in and show it off today. Oh, this cutting board is so good. It's so big. It's so heavy. And that's probably why I didn't grab it and bring it in here, because it is so heavy. This cutting board is almost 2 foot by 2 foot. So it's, yeah, like it's like, I don't know if it would fit. I don't know if it would fit on screen. It's that gigantic, but it's turning out real good. I made one little mistake on it, but we're making the best out of it. It'll be ready to go into the laser engraver today, conceivably today. There's I got to put my maker's mark on it, and then I also have to they want an engraving on the back of it. And then it'll be ready for finish and feet and packing and shipping. And oh my gosh. So, 60, yeah, about 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters, roughly. Sure. for my international viewers. So last week, let's see. This is our just chatting session. That's where we where we just take some time and just kind of catch up, see how everybody's doing, see what's going on, talk about the status of the channels, etc., etc., etc. Blah blah blah. Skippy dippy dippy doo. There's been a lot going on in my life, and I guess, you know what? I guess we'll jump right into the big thing. This is the big thing. It's big. It has big future implications. Don't have any clue what the implications are right now. Those of you... Golf shots, looks like I'm a golf streamer. I mean, I might be. But the big news in RB's life is that I think everybody here knows that I work for a railroad. I work for Norfolk Southern Railroad. The big news for me, of course, this week is that Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific announced a potential transcontinental railroad deal. First and foremost, everybody that's out there that's going to say, well, there's been a transcontinental railroad since the 1860s. Yes, there has, but there's never been a single carrier. It's always had one carrier to the next, to the next, to the next to make it from coast to coast. You could never ship with the same railroad from one side of the country to the other. This will be the first. And of course, the big headline about that is that Union Pacific has offered to buy Norfolk Southern for $85 billion, which is a good deal for Norfolk Southern. Like, Norfolk Southern's current value is about $58 billion. And so to buy us out for $85 billion is a good deal for Norfolk Southern. But I have my doubts. I have my concerns. I don't think that we need I don't think that we need a transcontinental railroad. I think we need better interchange between the railroads. Right now, that's one of the big reasons that UP and Norfolk Southern have announced that they want to do this, is because it takes a long time to get stuff from one side of the country to the other. It is crazy that you can't do that, but the way that the railroads were made, it's like, where if you've got, let's take this and look at it from the perspective of UPS, FedEx, DHL, Amazon. The roads are public highways, public streets, etc. It's public interstates, right? Any carrier can use those modes of travel. And so they can all be out there and competing for your business and competing for your dollars and competing for your business, right? But the railroads own the rails. So Union Pacific owns their rail. Norfolk Southern owns their rail. CSX, BNSF, CPKS, all of those systems own the rail that they operate on. The only railroad out there that doesn't own their rail is Amtrak. Amtrak leases rail for passenger service. So you can ship via the national highway system, but you can't, there is no national rail system. And I don't know that we want that. I don't know that we want that. The states and the federal government can't take on that burden. They just can't. It costs a lot of money to maintain rail infrastructure. And that all comes out of the bottom line of each of the rail carriers that owns the rail. If you talk about a national rail system, then you're going to have an increased line item on the federal and state budgets that is going to be a huge debt that someone's going to have to pay. But from the standpoint of shipping, when UP and Norfolk Southern, when those rails come together, you don't just stop the train, an NS employee gets off, a UP employee gets on, and then they go. It has to go through something called interchange. And interchange, the railroads are profitable. They are profitable. They're not as profitable as a lot of people think they are, though. And we're losing market share. We're losing market share to trucks, FedEx, UPS, DHL, you name it. We're losing market share to trucks because, and I believe this to be true, because of the interchange process. So UP stops here, Norfolk Southern stops here, and then there's rails that kind of finger together and connect the two together, and those are called interchange railroads. I'm not saying that the government is going to lose money. The government is going to have to foot that bill. Think about who pays for the public roads. It's everyone. So the railroads are going to have to pay for the rail system, but so are the American people. It's gonna become a tax burden for the American people if you went with a national rail system. And that's the nature of the beast in every federal. That's the nature of the beast in every federal endeavor. It becomes a tax burden for all of the people that benefit from it. You're never going to convince a congressman to only have the railroads pay for the rail system because everybody benefits. Everything in your house, well, many of the things in your house right now, whether it's an appliance, an electronic device, a piece of furniture, many of those items at some point were on a rail car. And so it is a thing. A benefit burden, that's a tough thing to quantify sometime. One person's benefit is another person's burden, and I don't know if it's that simple. I don't know if it's that simple. But that's another discussion, right? What the Surface Transportation Board for the United States government needs to do is improve interchange. What we're going to end up with here is a Union Pacific monopoly on freight systems. Yes, we all benefit from the national highway system, 100%. But Union Pacific is going to end up with a monopoly on rail systems. And monopolies are not good because monopolies do not spur competition, which will cause an increase in rates. It will become less and less affordable for people to ship that way. And it's never good to be the only game. It's good for that individual to be the only game in town, but it's never good for the users for that to be the only game in town. We do not want a rail monopoly. Yeah, but you know how that works, Diamond. You know how that works. If we can streamline the service at interchange, right now, when a Norfolk Southern train needs to go west or a Union Pacific train goes east, they have to stop. The owning railroads have to get off of the equipment, and interchange crew gets on, and they navigate it through interchange. The benefit that UP and NS are trying to, yes, I do realize what I just said, UPNS. The benefits that these two railroads are trying to say is that if we bypass interchange, those trains don't have to stop. And that's true. Those trains would not have to stop. They can just keep right on going. And the reason why that's so important is because sometimes to get a train through interchange takes 4 days. It should not take 4 days to get through an interchange. A day max to get through interchange. These interchange railroads are very small entities. Yes, it can take up to 4 days for a train to get through interchange. And we're talking 20 to 60 miles of interchange track. But they get so congested because we interchange with UP essentially at 3 places. Chicago, Kansas City, and New Orleans. There's a few other little places, but those are the big ones. But so does BNSF, so does CSX, so does CPKS, KCCP, whatever it is. I can never remember the name of that other railroad. But that's the problem, is that there are so many railroads trying to get through interchange that it's not easy. So streamline that. Make it easier for trains to get through interchange. And then you don't need one giant mega railroad, transcontinental railroad. Maybe federalizing interchange is the answer. I don't know. All I know is, in RB's humble opinion, a major mega transcontinental railroad is not necessarily the answer. Because what that's going to do is, it's, UP and NS get together and make UP transcontinental. By the way, Norfolk Southern will die in this. There will be no more Norfolk Southern rail. For the first time in 100 years, there will be not a Norfolk and something railroad. For the first time in 170 years, there will not be a Norfolk and something railroad. Individual interchanges, yes. They are run by so you've got like Indiana Harbor Belt. You've got I can't remember. The Indiana Harbor Belt's the one that I reckon, it's the one that I know, because that's where I was. That's where I was from. That's where I started my railroad career, was up in that area. So, but yeah, they're run by individual short lines essentially. So, if UP and NS get together and form UP Transcontinental, if that's allowed, BNSF, CSX, Canadian National, they're going to have to explore merger options as well. And the pool of companies that you can deal with is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And we're going to create railroad monopolies. Monopolies are not good for customers. Not at all. And while you are not the person that ships via rail, the companies that provide you with the goods and the service, the goods that you utilize, they do. There's a rail yard. How many rail companies do we need? Right now, we have 6. We have Union Pacific, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, Norfolk Southern, CSX, which is the old Chessie system, KCCPK, KCCP, CPKC. I don't know. There was a merger a while back that Kansas City Southern and Canadian Pacific got together, and then Canadian National. So there are 6 railroads right now. State controls rails with lock pricing is best. I can't say that. I can't say that that's the best. I can't say it's the best. It is a potential solution. I cannot say it's the best solution, but it is a possibility. I'm not a big fan of state controls on anything. I am a fan of state oversight, but that oversight does have to have teeth. But I'm not a big fan of the government telling business how they operate in mass. Like, there have to be regulations, there have to be safety standards in place, there has to be customer guarantees in place, like stuff like that. But for the government to control every aspect of what a business can and can't do, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that. But are we going to figure this? So this is why I'm saying this is not something that's going to affect RB today. It is something that we're thinking about, me and Mrs. RB, because the other thing that is of concern to me, and again, we don't know how this is going to pan out. Norfolk Southern has a designated training center, which is where all of their employees come, all of their craft employees come to get the training for the jobs that they do. Union Pacific doesn't do that. Union Pacific has training for conductors and engineers, and they also have training for signal maintainers, but they do not have training for mechanical craft employees. So people that work on freight cars, people that work on locomotives. They don't have training for track maintenance. Norfolk Southern does. And so there is an entire building that I work at right now where half of the population right now has an uncertain future. Because UP doesn't do training the way that we do, what's going to happen to the people, myself included, that deal with those types of training? Are there options for me? Probably. I don't know what those options are. And let's face it, guys, at a maximum, I need 10 more years. At a maximum, I need 10 more years to fully qualify for my railroad retirement, and et cetera, et cetera. I want to go for about 7, actually 9. I need 9 more years because I'll be 9 years short next month. So I want to go for about 7. I would like to retire when I'm 60, but I would take a slightly reduced railroad retirement. But I think that's worth it. All right. So how many interchanges do cars go through in a trip across the country? It depends on where it starts and where it ends up. Conceivably, it could go through 1, 2, 3. I think on average we'll say 2, but it could go through as many as 4 interchanges. State controls the rails, but every X number of years to bill it out to who runs it. Okay. In the current environment, safety training just reduces productivity, needs to be streamlined. I would disagree with that. In the current Norfolk Southern environment, safety training is critical. And it does not reduce productivity. If anything, the safety related training that we're providing, once completed, increases productivity. One country, same rules, all over the same country. That's simple. Fair point. We do not have different rules in Texas and Louisiana. There are not different rules there. Federal regulations, 49 CFR, which is Transportation Code of Federal Regulations, are very clear on what railroads can and cannot do depending on what class of railroad you are. So we've got Class 1, Class 2, Class 3, depending on what you haul. So Norfolk Southern, UP, those are Class 1 railroads. BNSF, CSX, those are Class 1 railroads. Florida East Coast is a Class 2 railroad. They are not a Class 1. And then you got short lines and local distributors and stuff like that. So the federal government does set the rules by which all railroads operate. So there's that. They cannot set pricing. They can't set pricing, and they don't own, and the federal government doesn't own the rails. The railroads do. It is absolutely a political environment, and in the current political environment, this deal gets done. Currently, there are 3 empty seats on the Surface Transportation Board that Donald Trump still needs to appoint, and he is going to appoint business-friendly members to the STB. And if Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern can convince the STB that this is a good deal, then they will rubber stamp it and allow it to go. Germany has the same rules as Denmark has the same rules as Germany and Japan. Just did the standard rules for EU there in Denmark. Okay, cool. So yeah, there's a lot for me to think about. I've had a lot on my mind this week. I've had a lot of people try to contacting me about, hey, what does this mean? I don't know. I don't know what this means, big picture and immediately. Right now, there are no answers to any questions out there, but there are a lot of questions. I just know that I'm not a fan. If it happens, it happens. If it happens, I'll be a team player and I'll do what I have to do to make that as seamless a transition as possible. But if they convince the board that the deal goes through, it's money. Yeah, money. Now, here's the big thing. There hasn't been a major Class 1 railroad merger in almost 25. There hasn't been a major Class 1 railroad merger in about 26 years, and that was when Norfolk Southern bought Conrail. And that's what led us to the place where in the United States we ended up with 4 Class 1s: Norfolk Southern, UP, CSX, BNSF. BNSF is the only railroad that is currently not publicly traded. They're owned by Warren Buffett. They are a private corporation, but UP, Norfolk Southern, and CSX, those are all publicly traded on the stock exchange. So some folks are thinking that BNSF and CSX are going to have to get together to compensate for the fact that you're going to have one big UP transcontinental. You're going to also have BNSF CSX transcontinental. I don't necessarily see it that way because BNSF is not publicly traded. Warren Buffett is money savvy. And there has to be a good, solid financial reason for Warren Buffett to pull the trigger on something like that. I don't think it's there. What I think is going to happen is that Canadian National and CSX get together and form their own network. I don't know I don't know for sure that that's going to happen, but that's just my opinion. The argument is that if you eliminate interchanges, you reduce transit time. Hard to argue against that. Yes, 100%. You argue that though by showing that all of those interchange employees are going to be affected by this, and not in a good way, because they're going to lose their jobs. All of those places where you're no longer running those freight trains through interchange. And let's face it, Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern run a lot of trains through interchange. BNSF and CSX do as well, but you're going to probably take 60% of the trains that go through interchange and eliminate them, which means that those interchange railroads are going to have to scale back. Yeah, you're going to end up with more train crews, and you're going to have better service for BN and CSX and all the other carriers that go through interchange, but it's not going to be profitable. They're not going to be able to afford that many train crews. So they're going to have to get rid of those train crews. So you're going to eliminate a lot of jobs at interchange. So that's the argument. Yes, bypassing interchange increases productivity for that one railroad. I suppose that's the truth, but let's just put it this way. I hope that the supporters of interchange, be that interchange customers, like the actual customers that benefit from the interchange, because interchange, not only does interchange transit between railroads, but they also take stuff from railroads and then deliver it to end users. So let's hope that the people who are arguing on behalf of interchange can make that argument. Let's face it, RB is a realist. In the current political environment, I think this deal gets done. I don't like it, but I think this deal gets done. What do interchange employees do, really? So interchange employees will take a train that is being dropped off by one rail and then move it to whichever other railroad system it needs to go to next. So it could take a Norfolk Southern train and move it over to BNSF, over to CSX, over to UP, over to a short line. They'll take a train from a class 1 carrier and route it to whichever other carrier it needs to go to next. It is not efficient. It is not efficient. Could it be more efficient? 100%. But that's what they do. It's very hard to believe that this deal doesn't get done with the current administration, the current Congress, the current Surface Transportation Board, missing 3 members soon to be appointed and probably will be appointed business-friendly conservative. It's hard to say. And these mergers and acquisitions like this, of this scale. So Norfolk Southern and UP have already announced that they're going to file with the STB by January for merger, right? They're calling it a merger. It is not a merger. It's an acquisition. But they're going to file with the STB by January 1st. So they've got a couple of months to really get the deal on paper, hammered out, and ready to submit. And then it's going to take 12 to 18 months for the Surface Transportation Board to rule. So as long as they can get this done during the Trump administration, then it gets done. There's no guarantees of if this goes out past 2028. If this goes out past 2028, then there's no guarantee it gets done. And let's be fair. There is a slight possibility that regardless of the fact that the current STB and the STB that will soon get shaped, there's still a chance that it doesn't get approved. Because even some on the more conservative side of the political aisle are very scared about monopolies. But you're absolutely right. They want it fast tracked. They've actually got a deal that says that there's not going to be a voting trust, that there's not going to be they're trying to push this through as quickly as possible. And that's the big question, Istrasi. It may be faster, but is it safer? I don't think so. I have friends. Well, I don't have friends. I have acquaintances at the Federal Railroad Administration. The Federal Railroad Administration is the government agency that oversees all railroad operations to make sure that we're doing it safely, to make sure that we're following the rules. They're like our OSHA, right? The Federal Railroad Administration has gone on record as saying that since our East Palestine, Ohio accident, Norfolk Southern has become the safest railroad in the country. UP is the worst. Union Pacific has the worst safety record of all the Class 1s right now. I believe it'll make it less safe as well. And I can't get into any details with that at this point. It's a feeling that I have. But I do believe it'll be a less safe environment. I mean, can it be safer? Sure. But to the victor go the spoils. And in this particular case, Norfolk Southern is the safer railroad, but UP is the one that's buying us. And so it's going to be UP's rules, not Norfolk Southern's. It's going to be UP's rules, not Norfolk Southern's. Yeah, it can always, and to be fair, since our East Palestine, Ohio accident 2 plus years ago, Norfolk Southern has done a lot to become the safest railroad in the country. We have not slept. We have not lost focus on why that accident occurred and what being the eternal, Diamond, that's a great that's a great question. Can this deal be made to work? If the people at the top truly are invested in becoming the best railroad, financially, customer satisfaction, safety, then yes, I believe that it can work. And I don't think that anybody at Norfolk Southern is going to turn down their intensity on safety. I know I'm not. I have conversations with new hire employees every single day of my life. And we talk about all of the things out there. The railroad is full of big, heavy, solid pieces of equipment. A freight car, an empty freight car, weighs 58,000 pounds. A locomotive weighs between 280 and 500,000 pounds. Everything on the railroad is big and solid and heavy, and we are soft and squishy. Everything out there is either actively or inactively trying to kill you every day. Every single day. Something on the railroad is either actively or inactively trying to kill you. We cannot let that happen. But will NS employees be deluded by UP policies? Some of them will, yes. Some of them will. Guaranteed. Because there's always going to be some folks that, and I'm not criticizing these people at all. There are always going to be some folks that I'm going to do what I have to do to keep a job. I care about every single person that I meet. I care about every single person that I meet until they give me a reason not to. And so how many train accidents are there year over year by where hang on a second, we'll talk about that. I know people whose lives have been drastically changed by some type of railroad incident. I know people. And I don't want that to ever happen to anyone ever again. I don't. Especially if they were somebody that I trained. It makes me whole inside knowing that I was able to give someone information that helped keep them alive, that helped keep them safe, that helped keep them have all of their fingers and all of their toes and their life and their livelihood. That's important to me. So I'm going to keep my foot on the gas. I'm gonna keep pushing forward to make this the safest railroad that we can make it. And no one is going to convince me otherwise. That's always been my mission. Since the day I started at the training center, my mission has been to build a better railroader. So now, Estrisi, you asked, how many train accidents are there just around my area, just where I live? I don't have a number for that. In Germany, where they live, 80 only have around 312 accidents. Yeah. So in the state of Georgia, public railroad accidents. I can think of just news stories that I've heard. I can think of probably four train accidents of varying scale, none of them severe, but four train accidents in my immediate area of influence over the last 12 months. Now you multiply that out by 23 states, 80,000 route miles or whatever it is. Then you could get into, you could argue that it's more, obviously. But I can think of 4 incidents of varying scale close to me. UP will argue that that NS will help them improve their safety stats. Yes, they will. And yes, we will. More people with less injuries is going to make your overall injury ratio look better. Your overall incident ratio look better. It's absolutely true. Now, I will say this. Maybe UP will be open to safety suggestions. Maybe. Only time will tell. So, Istrisi, you made a really good point. Safety needs to be high. Norfolk Southern's values, and we have this conversation all the time with our... Yes, I'm sure we do, and I don't have those. Istrisi, I'm sure we do have incidents like that. I don't have the numbers. I don't have the numbers. I know that it does happen, but I don't know how many times it happens. I don't know. But Istrisi, you made a good point. Safety needs to be high. We have this conversation with our new hire employees every single week at the training center. You can have priorities or you can have values. And what's the difference between a priority and a value? A priority is something that's important to me right now, but it may not be important to me later. And a value is something that never changes. A value is something that never, ever, ever changes. It is always going to be the top of the list. This week, my priority is to make sure that my mortgage gets paid, which my mortgage got paid yesterday. So I'm good. Next week, my priority is not my mortgage. It's going to be something else. Right? Those numbers are available, Istrisi. I haven't looked them up. I haven't looked them up. And I could. And maybe I will. But values never change. Norfolk Southern has core values, and we call them our spirit values. SPIRIT. The very first value that Norfolk Southern has is safety. Safety is the lens that we make all decisions through. Is it safe to do this? Is it safe to walk this route? Is it safe to drive that spike? Is it safe to put these 2 wires together? Safety is our core value. After that comes P for performance, I for integrity, R for respect, a second I for innovation, and the last T, the T is for teamwork. So safety, performance, integrity, respect, innovation, and teamwork. 6 values. Those are our core values that Norfolk Southern has, and they do not change. UP, they have core values. Safety is not number 1. I don't know what their number 1 is, but I know it's not safety. You know what? I can't say that. Union Pacific core values. Union Pacific's core values are passion for performance, high ethical standards, and working as a team. Safety isn't even mentioned. No. Well, Diamond, maybe. Maybe. It's possible. That is a valid fear. As Tristy said, I think safety may maybe have a number in it. 100 have a number in it too. That's true. How many railroad fatalities? So far in the state of Georgia, there have been 4 reported railroad fatalities, according to Operation Lifesaver. So that's going to be vehicle-related accidents. Well, no, that doesn't necessarily have to be vehicles. Operation Lifesaver is just safety awareness around tracks. So it could be people walking down the tracks too. So 4 in the state of Georgia. And that's of July 1st. Collisions and fatalities by state. This is for 2024. Texas had 20. California had 50. Florida had 26. Georgia had 4. Indiana had 14. Does it give us a total? For 2024, there were 263 crossing fatalities in the United States. Istrissi, there's probably not a day that goes by that something doesn't get off the rails in the United States. And it could, and some of them are just one wheel, you know, the rail spread or a spike came loose or something and one wheel came off the rail. But every day something gets derailed across all of the railroads in the country. No interchange means more time can be spent on ensuring safety without impacting travel time. Sure. Derailments more frequent in the U.S. 500 in the EU. Sure. We also have more track than you guys, though, to have than you guys do. Also, like, you know, the United States is a lot bigger than the EU. And yeah, exactly. The rail systems are very different than yours. Yeah, you have rails all the way over to China, but China is a lot closer to you than like China is closer to you than New York is to Los Angeles. So think about that. It's pretty close. Pretty close. How far is it? EU has Okay, that's a good question. How many route miles of railroad in the United States? There are 140,000 route miles of track in the United States. $94,000 miles or 94,000 route miles in the EU. So we do have more rail. $94,000 miles compared to, what did I say, 140,000? Now, you guys have better, you guys have better rail systems. Your rail systems are better, hands down. Well, no, it doesn't count Russia. We're talking about one country. We're talking about a country. The EU is like the United States in that it is a conglomeration of smaller states into one organizational unit. You can't include Russia in that. You can't include Russia if you're comparing apples to apples. You can't include that. And also, you can't. Isn't the Russian rail system different than everybody else? Like, don't they use narrower gauge or something like that? I know they used to. Maybe they've changed that. I don't know. Oh, I'm supposed to hydrate. Let us hydrate. Europe is Russia too. Sure. But they're not part of the EU. Hydration complete. Hydration complete. Well, yeah, I mean that's true. That's true. There's a rail map. Okay, let me see this rail map. Oop. One year of U.S. passenger rail traffic is like 1 day in the EU. I would agree with that. Yeah, that is an absolute mess. That is an absolute mess of... Hang on a second. Let me... Desktop. Actually, no. Hold on. Hold on. Let me do it this way. Send that same link in Discord, Istrisi. Send that same link in Discord. And I'll put it up on the screen for everybody to see. Maybe. There it is. All right, here we go. Look at that. Look at that. That is a mess. Compare that to U.S. railroad map. Well, you get the idea. Compare that. Compare that to, nope, not to that. To this. Compare the two of those. I mean, you know, it is a little different. The density is crazy, yeah. That is absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But you can get literally anywhere by rail in Europe. You cannot do that in the United States. You can get a lot of places, but you can get literally anywhere in Europe. Yeah, if you were to change that right-hand map to be the US highway system, it would absolutely look like that. Yeah. We have definitely concentrated on roads in the United States and not rail. And I don't know that that was a wise decision. I don't know that that was a wise decision. But it is what it is. I'll tell you what. This conversation turned into something way more than I thought it was going to turn into. Like, we've been talking about this now for damn near an hour. A train, as in one. Yes. We have a train that when you look at this the route the route availability for rail transit in the United States, there's like 10 trains that can get you a good number of places. And again, it's not going to get you everywhere. Europe is 2% bigger than in landmass than the United States. I can believe that. Morning, Nuggets. Good to see you, buddy. So yeah, agreed. Safety has to be paramount. Safety has to be the most important thing. Safety has to be the most important thing. And I'm afraid that it's not going to be. I'm afraid it's not going to be. But we shall see. I'm going to go grab something. Unless we get Canada. We're not going to get Canada. I'm going to go grab something. I'll be right back. Hang tight. Whew. Uh-huh. Nuggets, buddy. Oh. Oh. Look at this. Oh. This is heavy. This is the biggest board I have ever made. Spent a month in Canada. Yeah, you guys, Europe has twice as many people as the US. Twice as many people as the US. But then if we also include Canada, then we're still smaller. Yeah, look at this thing. It doesn't fit in the screen. It doesn't fit in the screen. But she is silky smooth. I've been sanding on her now for days. I don't know if I can swing it. I don't know if I could swing it hard enough to hit anybody. I'd have to stand above them and drop it on them like an anvil in Minecraft. I don't think I could swing it. But I've been sanding on it for days. It's buttery smooth. I've got one more round of 220 sanding to do on this today, and then we're gonna do some laser engraving on it. Denmark owns the world's biggest island. Yes, we know you own Denmark. I get it. Then we're gonna have to do some laser engraving on it. Just add oars and a mast. Yeah, we could use it as a small sailboat. Oh, this thing weighs. Before I started sanding on it, this thing weighed like 26 pounds. It's a chunky one. Whew. But yeah, it's turning out real nice. This is my first ever end grain cutting board. First ever. Oh, there's the bottom side of it. Oh, I know you have a land border with Canada. I know. Istrisi likes to make sure that we remember that they own Greenland and that they have a border with Canada. And we have a much bigger border with Canada. Oh, all right. I'm going to go put this back as long as I don't give myself a hernia. I'll be right back. Oh. Wow. I got my workout in this morning. What did I miss? So Denmark get Canada and North USA. You have a big border with Canada. Why? I don't know. I don't know why we piss Canada off all the time. Do we piss Canada off all the time? I don't think we piss them off all the time. I don't think we make them mad all the time. We piss everybody off. It's kind of our thing. It's fair. That's fair. Stupid Americans. Who do we not piss off all the time? Anybody? Yeah, that's fair. Again, fair point. So yeah, so later today I'll be back in the wood shop doing the last round of sanding on that, doing some laser engraving on that, getting that finished up. Hopefully I can get that shipped out. Hopefully I can get it shipped out Monday or Tuesday. That'll be nice. I gotta build a cardboard. I gotta build a box for it. It's gonna be cardboard, but I'm gonna have to wrap it up real good and get it so that it can't get damaged or whatever, and then build a custom cardboard box for it. Because I could buy a box for it, but it would be an exorbitant amount of money. They are gaining traction, Diamond. They are. Yeah, you get a custom box. I've got lots of heavier duty cardboard that we're gonna make a custom box for it out of. And I'm also gonna probably wrap it in something so that it can't so that it at least doesn't have as bad of an opportunity to get chipped or dinged in it during shipping. Yeah, the shorts are consistently doing well. Let me see. Can I pull those up real quick? YouTube Studio. Put a lot of duct tape around it. Yeah. Content. Why am I looking this up over here? Don't look it up over there. Don't do that. Do it over here. YouTube. Switch account. rbPlays. YouTube Studio. Not less than 50 rolls of duct tape. No, we're not going to do 50 rolls of duct tape. Shorts. All right. Gameplay. Not really gameplay, but still. All right. So looking down through this list, I've got one short that's still scheduled to come out later today. But yeah, like with the exception of this one right here, they're all in the thousands of views. This one right here too. But yeah, the shorts are doing well. If the train doesn't derail, I'm going to be sending it via probably UPS. So it will probably not be on a train. Compare that to the videos that we released. You know, 9 views, 18 views, 9 views, 11 views. Yeah. Yeah. Dashboard. 3,331 subscribers on the YouTube Let's Play channel, on the rbPlays Let's Play channel. Estimated revenue, $3.24. Big money, yo. Hope the UPS doesn't derail too. Please don't even say that. Please don't even say that. Or de-wheel, yeah. Yeah. So analytics. We got these spikes, you know. So these are all when shorts release, right? View numbers are doing okay based on shorts. Now the other thing that I want to look at is the woodworking channel. I need to watch this later. If you're not watching Oxventure, their Weirdwood campaign, you really need to be watching that. Yeah, she's gonna be riding low in the back for sure. Switch account to woodworking. I changed the name of the woodworking channel, guys. It's not the Weekend Wood Shop anymore. It is Richard Brooks Woodworking. Because I'm trying to develop a furniture business. And the Weekend Wood Shop implies that I only work on stuff on the weekends, and that's not the impression that I want folks to have. So we're gonna call it Richard Brooks Woodworking. The last video that we released, 135 views. It's doing okay. A main analytics view of the whole channel. We've gained 11 subscribers in the last month. We're up to 1188, 12 short of 1,200. It will not make it on a plane. It's not going that far. It's only going a couple of states over, so it won't be on a plane. I believe this is when I released the video, so I'm not going to send it via train. It's not going to happen. This channel, no monetization, so no money. And then as far as the other stuff, as far as something else goes, so we've got the rbPlays Patreon. That's still doing okay. Meet and greet at a Buc-ee's. We could do that. That's a possibility. Send it via a sweaty guy run alongside the road for 6 months. Yep, Mogi, that'll do it. But we still have the rbPlays Patreon, so patreon.com/rb_plays. If you want to help support the channel over there, then by all means, go and do that. That would be greatly appreciated. But for the woodworking channel, there has been zero traffic. There has been zero consistent Patreon giving. I had I've had essentially 2 people that have signed up and then canceled theirs for $1 a month. And so I just transferred $4.71 to my bank account from Patreon from woodworking, and then I closed the Patreon. Maybe it'll come back maybe it'll come back in the future for the woodworking channel. Exactly. There's not enough regular content for people to get value. And honestly, I truly do appreciate all of the people that are supporting me on Patreon for the gaming channel, but honestly, that channel hasn't had much in terms of value for Patreon lately either. I need to do something about that. And I was just talking to Beholden about that this morning. Like I'm really struggling with how I want to do this, right? If I could just retire from my full-time job, then cutting boards for patrons, I mean, yes, it would have to be patrons for certain months or a level of support. Like if you support me at $50, you're going to get a face grain cutting board. If you support me at $5 a month, but you do that for a year, then you're going to get a cutting board. I don't know. Maybe. That's not a terrible idea. You know what? I'm glad you said that, because that is something for me to put in my back pocket for later. I can't send you one. Yeah, I don't think I could. I don't think they would let me, right? Figurines of RB made out of wood for everyone at over $25. I don't know that I could do that because I'm not a wood carver, but I could 3D print them. Cutting board Christmas ornaments. Maybe. I could 3D print them though. I'm trying to get to a point where I personally have a 3D printer. I have access to a printer, and I was told as long as I supply the filament, I can use it for anything I want. So I have access to a printer, but it's not a multicolor printer. So I'd have to change out the colors, right? But if I could set it up so that I could have a 3 or 4 color AMS, I could print RB figurines. $15% tax to enter, and it has to be controlled. So what do you mean by it has to be controlled? Like, does it have to be treated, or 3D print a cutting board box? Yeah, I don't think that would survive shipping either. I think that would be just as brittle. That would be more brittle than the cutting board. Sending wood from the U.S. to the EU requires careful considerations of regulation, treatment, documentation. You need to ensure the compliance with EU regulations, including phytosanitary requirements, potentially FLECT license if available or if applicable. Additionally, you'll need to address potential VAT charges and custom duties upon arrival in the EU. Okay, I think the most important thing there is that it's just going to cost more. So as a cutting board, I'm using kiln dried wood, guaranteed no infestations. I don't know if that would be enough to meet EU regulations. Phytosanitary, that implies other like growths, bacterias, plant life, etc. I don't think that would apply, but honestly, the biggest concern there would probably be the taxes and the duties and and all that. Which, you know, hey, if I'm going to do business internationally, that's fine. That's a cost of doing business. But yeah, lots of things to consider if I want to need it on paper. Sure. And that'd be easy enough to get. I just don't know how much it would cost. I just don't know how much it would cost. Like I guarantee whatever boards that I'm going to send overseas, I guarantee they're going to be safe to send. You just got to be able to prove it. So, yeah, that makes sense. Why are we playing a Halloween to Christmas song right now? I don't get it. Pretzel Rocks is really letting me down lately. Like, I get it. Everybody's driven by money. But the music service is becoming absolutely ridiculous. Like, you're not getting as much music as you used to get. It's irritating. Now, this song is called Twisted Mind by Death Metal. I like it so far. It's easier for a carpenter to get a tree from Africa than it is from the U.S. I believe that. How much is walnut over there? How much is American walnut over there? Because right now, walnut is of the domestic woods, walnut is the most expensive. Right now, walnut is $16.50 a board foot for 4/4 and $17 a board foot for 8/4. Oh, I take that back. Curly walnut is the most expensive, and that's $22 a board foot. Yeah. So from my lumber supplier, that's the most expensive wood that I can get. Everything else, like what I would use, most of the maples are around $8.50. The oaks are around $7 or $8 a board foot. Cedar is $7.50. So yeah, most of the woods that I would deal with are fairly inexpensive, but walnut is expensive, and I'm wondering how expensive walnut is over there. You want to see me work some African blackwood? They have. Does my supplier have African blackwood? They've got African teak. But I don't see African blackwood. Oof. Ramon or breadnut wood in slabs, live edge slabs, is $45 a board foot. Bolivian rosewood, $30 a board foot. Oof, African blackwood is about 10,000 a kilogram, so you might not find it easily locally. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to. I would most likely have to import that. And at 10,000 a kilogram, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Nope, not gonna happen, yo. Not at all. Not at all. That's expensive. That's expensive. African blackwood is 100 to 200 a board foot. Whew. That's something. That is something. Mrs. RB asked me for something last night, and I'm probably going to turn this into a project for the channel. She asked me for a footrest for under her desk. She needs something that she can like comfortably rest her feet on, not like propped up, but just something that'll help her feet so that they not take the strain off them, I guess. So she wants something that's kind of angled. So I got to start drawing that up. And then the other thing, I don't have it down here. The other thing that I was going to make, do I have it? Can I get a picture of it on here? Hold on. Project plans. Walnut in, it's cheaper there. It's cheaper there. Grumble, growl, grumble. That's the price of aluminum here after tariffs. Yeah. Furniture plans, maybe. I don't see it. Anyway, there's a bench in the latest issue of Wood Magazine. It requires 3 boards. It's a 2-person bench, real stylish, kind of mid-century modern. But it looks super simple to build. And again, I'm trying to build a furniture label, a furniture business. And I think that bench would be fantastic. I wish I would have brought it down here so I could show the picture. Did I show the picture last week? I don't know. Anyway, aluminum in the U.S. is dirt cheap, $2,600 a ton. But yeah, that's internal. External is stupid expensive. Yep. The reason why walnut is so expensive here is because everybody wants to build with walnut right now. I'm going to build this bench with construction lumber. I'm gonna make a video on beautiful bench construction lumber, right? Like that's the picture I've got in my head. I'm gonna get a piece of 2x10, and then I'm gonna cut pieces out of it so that I can get as close to quarter sawn grain as I can get. Maybe flat sawn, but I want quarter sawn grain if possible. And then also a couple of wider, like 1x material. You built a 2-person glider rocker. Nice. So it takes some 1 1/4 material, and it takes some 1-inch material for everything. Oak down under. Our oak prices, what did I say? About $8, about $8 a board foot, something like that. White oak is, white oak is $10. Red oak is $6.50. I got a bunch of white oak in the backyard that I got to get sawed up. The neighbor is still having trouble getting those into his sawmill, so I think I'm going to call somebody else. $2,600 a metric ton for aluminum in Denmark. That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Pine at Lowe's, $150 a board foot. Yes, that's exactly right. And here's the thing. The whole point of this video that I want to make for this bench is to show that you can make something beautiful and it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. I'll be into this, including having to buy some. This has cushions on it, so you'll have to buy. I have to buy some 2-inch foam and some fabric to cover that 2-inch foam with. That's import. Okay. I'll be into this. I'll be into this bench for $75, maybe. It's gonna have mortise and tenon joints. It's gonna have. It'll have dowels. It'll be strong, right? It'll be strong. And I'm going to make it out of construction spruce or pine. And it's going to be fine. We'll put a clear lacquer finish on it so it doesn't yellow it, or it doesn't yellow it too badly, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great. And then I'm going to put it in the breakfast nook. I'm going to put it right next to the window that's in our breakfast nook and take some pictures of it, and then I'm going to try and sell it. See how it goes. I think I want to start using the woodworking YouTube channel as a showcase for the projects that I make. Imagine, if you will, Keith Johnson Woodworks. Keith Johnson Woodworks. Hang on, let me pull up his channel here. He makes some beautiful stuff. Also, there's Padula Studios. They both make beautiful stuff. Keith Johnson Woodworks. JK. K. Keith Johnson Woodworks. There it is. This is one of my favorite channels right here to watch. He makes some beautiful stuff. This TV console that he made a couple of weeks ago, chef's kiss. It's beautiful. Look out for resin. Yeah, of course. 2x4x2 pine, $1.80. Yep. We're gonna get 2x10s or 12s because I don't want to use the heartwood. I don't want to use the pith. I want to get better grain out towards the edges, and go from there, because that's going to make it. It's going to make it look nicer. B, it's going to make it more durable. It's going to keep it straighter. You get that heartwood in there, and it'll start to warble all over the place. We don't want that. But yes, look out for the resin. And then the other channel that I absolutely love, and I think he's going to have a video coming out real soon, is Padula Studios. He makes beautiful stuff too, like absolutely gorgeous. The resin will yellow and push off paint. Yes, I know. I'm well aware. Honestly, that's my only concern. Is making sure that I get pieces that aren't absolutely soaked full of resin. Sap. Then you got guys like this guy right here. Got guys like this guy right here that, can't seem to get his crap together. This was a fun little project right here. Nothing stellar about it, just nice and fun. This was a fun project here. This stationary bike stand, that was a fun project. I think I could have done better on it, but it was fun. Dice trays. I love making dice trays. But that's not really furniture. I also don't have on my channel, I don't have a cutting board. Unfortunately, there's not going to be a video about this cutting board either, because that would have made it take even longer. But I do need to make a video about cutting boards. 2x12 is $15. Yeah. Good mahogany planks, thinking about cutting up and smoke a fish with? Sure, yeah. That would be good. So, yeah. What's new with you guys? You guys having... Obviously, this stream has been all about me and the potential future woes of RB. I like going back to the beginning of the stream, going back to that conversation that we were having about the big railroad news this week, and that is that Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern have agreed to an acquisition. Now they just have mahogany free planks. Okay. They've agreed to an acquisition deal. And I don't know what that means for my future. Only time will tell. So we'll have to see what that means. Content creation wise, I've got ideas. I just need to pull the trigger on them. Last week we streamed on both Saturday and Sunday. We are not doing that this week, but last week we streamed both Saturday and Sunday. We completed the U.S. Amateur Golf Tournament, and I won. I am the reigning PGA Tour Golf, EA Sports PGA Tour Golf U.S. Amateur Champion. Next up is the Masters at Augusta National. We're probably going to squeeze a Minecraft stream in there at some point. Diamond Anvil's going to fix a moped for you over Discord. Yep. Sounds about right. Talking about that, like, you mentioned that you hit the start button and it just clicks. That does not sound like a fuel problem to me. That sounds like a voltage problem. So I agree with Diamond. Charge the battery up a little bit more and just make sure that it's got a good charge on it. And then start checking with your ignition coil, start motor, et cetera, like whatever the cranking mechanism is, make sure that it's working properly, and then make sure that you've got spark at the spark plug. And it could be more than one problem. Y'all, I had to fix my riding mower last week, right? It wasn't it wasn't starting, and it's a crappy Walmart special riding mower. Imagine the first gen riding mowers, if you will, where you've got the seat and then the steering wheel comes straight up, and then you're kind of Forrest Gump. Remember the lawnmower from Forrest Gump? It looks a lot like that one. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was Waterboy. It might have been Waterboy. Was there? I think it was Waterboy. Anyway, battery was weak on mine, so I put it on the charger for it kind of like an old snapper. Yeah. This one's made by Murray, but yeah, it's kind of like the old snappers. So battery was weak. I put it on the charger for a while, made sure it had good clean fuel in it, and put the battery back in and tried to start it, and it wouldn't start. Well, it's a cheap Briggs and Stratton motor, and the the carburetors that they put on those are horrible. Like, they get gummed up real easy, and it's honestly, it is cheaper to just replace it. So I spent $20 and I bought a new carburetor for it. So I took the old carburetor off, put the new carburetor on, tried to start it, wouldn't start. Well, am I getting spark? I don't know. Rather than trying the old screwdriver grounded out to the frame of the motor trick, I decided I was just going to go to Harbor Freight and get a spark plug tester, because I need it anyway. It was $5, and it's something that I'm going to be able to use a lot for different things. So I went to Harbor Freight. I got the spark plug tester. I brought it back home. I kid you not. I plugged that. I tried to crank it, still wouldn't start. I plugged. The new plug was included in the carburetor kit, the new carburetor kit. So it was $20, right? I plugged. I tried to start it. It wouldn't start. I unplugged the coil wire, the spark plug wire, and I put the spark plug tester in it, and I cranked it, and the son of a biscuit started right up. It started right up. Like, what in the world? I didn't change anything except for I put that spark plug tester in circuit. So I don't know if it did something to the resistance and changed the voltage going to the spark plug and caused it to spark different or what. I don't know, but it freaking worked, and it's worked ever since. So for $25, and I'm wondering now if I would have just left the old carburetor on there, if I would have just tried that with the spark plug tester, would it have worked? I don't know. The carburetor didn't look bad. It had clean fuel in the bowl, and and all the gaskets were in place, and it didn't look like any of the ports were gummed up or anything, but you never know. You never know. I'm an elect chicken, and so I need to tell you what the issue was. I mean, obviously it was something voltage related. Obviously. I don't know what, but I don't know. Oak 2x4, $65. Good wonkers, that's insane. Yes. So now, if you're gonna be buying lumber, if you're gonna be buying good lumber, not construction lumber, good lumber, do not go to Lowe's or Home Depot or someplace like that. You are going to pay through the nose for that. Then I check the turbo encabulator. I love that video. I show that video to electrician classes all the time. I love that bit. I love that video so much. It is so good. You're gonna throw a low water picture from around you? Yeah, it's been raining a lot over there for you. Man, it rained a lot yesterday here. Holy cow. Yesterday and the day before, it rained a ton. This has been the wettest year so far. Like the wettest. But yeah, that turbo encabulator video. If you are not familiar with the turbo encabulator, go to YouTube and find the video on the turbo encabulator. It's from probably the 60s, Diamond. It's probably from the late 60s. It is glorious. It is a glorious video. If you ever have trouble explaining anything to anyone, just have them watch that video and they will be more dumbfounded than what you were trying to explain to them. It's amazing. I love it so much. Such a good video. Oh, we got to stretch. 29 minutes ago, Diamond Anvil asked me to stretch, and I missed it. I've got to do something different with my setup. Like, I can't see that, and I need to make it. Oh, anyway, stretch. Oh, yep, that's good. Yep, that's good. Over here. Yep, that's good too. Oh. Yeah, we're good. Stretch complete. But you got just under 5 inches in 30 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot of rain. Now we got to hydrate. Thanks, Estrissy. Cheers. There's a pic on Discord. All right. Posture check from Moog. Posture. Head up, shoulders back, back straight. Posture's good. Thanks, Moog. Let's go see the picture. All right. Water should not be up to above the bottoms of the door frames on vehicles. It should not be. It should not be. Oh.
Warning, ads inbound. Warning, ads inbound.
But there's no ads. We're not playing ads anymore. We've stopped playing ads because they're dumb and they're stupid and they don't help your channel at all. I literally have made like 12 cents on ads this whole year. Like, it's dumb. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Car's not even at not even the lowest point. I believe it. I believe it. Yes, there's the turbo encabulator. Yes. Diamond Anvil posted it in our link share portion of our community Discord. So if you're not a member of the rbPlays community, oh yeah, you should be. Everybody should be able to see that. Who farted? It was Estrissy. Estrissy farted. Estrissy farted. That is a glorious video. So check out the Discord. Go to the link share section. Check it out. I have not. I don't know that I've ever seen this Sans ICS security one, though. The hyper encabulator. Ooh, I don't know if I've seen that one. I'll have to look at it. Join us on Discord, broken at the moment. Yeah. I did not. I did not fart. Maybe I farted. Yes. I will absolutely watch that. What else do we got to talk about, y'all? I think next week is going to be a Minecraft stream. I think we're going to play vanilla next week. And then we got to figure out how we're going to do the Masters golf tournament. I would like, I don't know how I can pull this off. I would like to stream on 4 consecutive days. Start on Thursday. Start on Thursday with round 1, Friday round 2, see if we make the cut, and then Saturday, Sunday, rounds 3 and 4. That'd be a golf tournament, right? It's only about an hour stream each day. But, yeah, I'd like to see if we can do that. Oh, after we got the bot thing, yeah. So I guess I'll need to make a new... I guess I can make a new join link for the Discord. I think I can do that. Should we do that? Should we make a new join link for the Discord? We'll talk. We'll get into a little discussion on that. See what we come up with. Unhurried Exotica from Exotic Lounge. That's the name of the song that's playing right now. 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th of December? No, we don't want to do it then. That's too long. That's too long. That's too long to wait. That's too long to wait. The problem is that on the Thursday, Fridays, we would have to do it in the evenings. Like I'd have to do it after work. So I don't know. I'll talk to Mrs. RB and see what I can come up with. Or we could do 2 rounds on Saturday and 2 rounds on Sunday. If we do the first 2 rounds on Saturday and we don't make the cut, then there's no Sunday stream. If we do the 2 rounds on Saturday and we do make the cut, then there's a Sunday stream. That's a possibility. Too long, that's what she said. No, they never say that. Okay, maybe they do say that from time to time. What's the status of the RBCNC? Same as it was last time you asked. I've got parts for it. I just have no time for it. And it's frustrating. I really do want to get that thing working because I would love to be able to use it to make projects, to make products that I can take to my local spring craft festival here in town. Every year we run a festival in the spring, and makers get booths and a little bit each week. Yeah, not gonna disagree with that. A little bit each week. Evenings, that means mornings for you, yeah. That means, like, if I were to stream at 6 o'clock at night, that'd be midnight for you. So I don't want to do that to you, but maybe I do. Yeah. Anyway, something to think about. I think right now, 2 rounds Saturday, 2 rounds Sunday, if we make the cut, I think that's plausible. I think we can do that. Yeah, I think we can do that. So we wouldn't necessarily have to do the whole Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing if we're going to do a golf tournament weekend. So I got a to-do list here. I need to create a new Discord link. It'd be good for you if you have 12 hours warning. Okay. Okie doke. I got to come up with a new Discord link and get that put into Stream Elements. Stream Elements? Yes, Stream Elements. Yep. I really do want to get that CNC going. That's another thing. So at work, we've spent a lot of money on stuff for me to make stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about the Discord link. Work has spent a lot of money on tools for me to be able to make stuff for in-class demonstrations, hands-on models, awards at the end of classes, etc. So 3D printer, CNC router, I make stickers. And none of that. How do I put this? All of that was approved by my management. It was not approved by our IT group, but we still did it. So I need a whiteboard. I have a whiteboard in the shop. Maybe I do need a whiteboard in here. But our IT group has made a lot of changes, and so I don't have administrative rights on my laptop anymore. And so I have software on there that's not approved. And at some point they could do an audit of the computer and go, hey, that's not approved, and just take it off. And then I can't do CNC router stuff anymore. I can't do 3D printer stuff anymore. I can't do a digital chat connected whiteboard. Ooh. Don't know if I can see this. Let's see. I don't know how to read this. I've got a big thing that says Talad Ale, Talad Advolke. I guess this is my cookies thing. I don't know. I think it's this one that I want. Sure. We're gonna have to translate this. Translate to English. Okay. Get the latest news about weather and climate. We give you the most important blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know the flooding's bad when it's coming out of the sewers. Yep. You know flooding's bad when it's coming out of the sewers. Well, I like to read stuff. I like to read stuff, sort of. But yeah, that's a lot of water, dude. That is a lot of water. That is a lot of water. This guy is dragging, guy or gal, are dragging their vehicle backwards in the rain. It's floating. Oh, he's not. Oh, that's not their vehicle. There's somebody else in it. Whew. Eek. Egads. Egads. That's a lot, y'all. That's a lot of water. You have better rail. You have more water. You're better than us. Yeah, that sounds about right. Anything you can do, I can do better. Even our natural disasters are lame over here. I feel like we need to send him a good hurricane. Or a nice nor'easter. You been through any good nor'easters there, Diamond? More rain in 2 days than normally in 90. Yeah, I can believe that. That's a lot of rain, y'all. That's a lot of rain. Two meters of lake effect snow. Yep, that's a good one. Haven't had a good one in a few years. I mean, there's been some good ones though. There's been some good nor'easters. You got 2 tornadoes too? Oh, you're living big time now. I've had 2 tornadoes this month. Well, July. I've had 2 tornadoes in July, and I think so far this year, I think my area's had like 12 or 14. It's insane. We've had a lot of bad weather this year, for sure. I think it's all the NASA scientists that Trump is pissed off by firing everybody, so they triggered a weather event for us. It's all a conspiracy. The nor'easters have been north or east of you lately, yeah. But his tornadoes are bigger. Yeah, you got tornadoes, but ours are bigger. You got them because of the new USA taxes. Yeah. I gotcha. Sure. Pay the tax, or we're gonna ship you a tornado. Get rid of the scientists. No more bad weather. Exactly. Perfect. Problem solved. Problem solved. You know, I'm not a big fan of any political people, right? Like, I have problems with Donald Trump. I have problems with Joe Biden. I had problems with Barack Obama. I have problems with George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton. You name the president in my life, Jimmy Carter. You name the president in my lifetime, and there has always been something about them that I don't agree with, right? And that's human nature, right? You're never going to agree with everybody. Sounds like I'm the problem. You're never going to have anybody that you're going to agree with 100%. Somebody is going to make a decision that you don't support, right? I, I don't even remember where I was going with this, but uh, at some point, Donald Trump is going to have to recognize that he doesn't know everything, and that either he's just not, he just doesn't care to learn, or he's being fed bad information and running with it because that's the kind of person that he is. I don't know which one it is, right? I don't know which one it is, but defunding science is not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Now, making better decisions, making good decisions on where the money goes after the programs are, when you're just trying to decide which program should be funded, like, that's an important decision, right? You know, is there something that we need to fund so that we can get good answers for? Yes, we need to find cures for cancer. We need to find better opportunities for us to make energy and not pollute the planet. There's all kinds of good things that government spending can be used for. There are some things that government spending maybe doesn't need to be used for, and both political parties are guilty of pet projects, right? Maybe he's eating too much bad information. I mean, when you've got, look, I'm not proud of this. She's not my representative, but there is a representative for the state of Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a nut job, but she's got his ear. And I feel like there are so many people that have the president's ear that he can't possibly, and maybe he can, I don't know. He can't possibly be this unintelligent from time to time. And I mean that nicely. I mean that nicely. He's a successful businessman, so obviously he knows something. And granted, there are some folks that are like, well, he started with daddy's money and blah blah blah, and that's fine, right? And not all of his businesses have succeeded, and that's fine too. But let's face it, he's one of the more successful businessmen of our time, right? And so he knows something. He knows something. Either that or he knows somebody that's able to help him get stuff done. Yeah, he is. Even if you don't like him, yeah, he is. He's done well for himself. He's successful. But some of the decisions are just not exact. That, you know what? That's a great point. None of his companies made money. I think that's a misinformed opinion. I'm sorry, but that's a misinformed opinion. Does he though? Does he owe more in tax than he owns? Or do the companies owe more in tax than they own? You have to separate the two of them. Donald Trump is not Donald Trump Industries, right? Whatever his companies are. The way that the US business system is structured, they are separate. They are separate. Now, is he misappropriating funds so that he can live the life that he wants to live? There possibly, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, the bank owns more than he does. And as long as the companies are capable of making the loan payments, profitable, because that's an expense. The loan payments are an expense, and as long as they have more money at the end of the month than they had when they started, they're profiting. And in the United States, profit equals success. Profit equals success. I mean, let's face it. When Diamond Anvil, that statement that you made is true of most people in the United States. The banks own more of our empires than we do. The banks own our houses. The banks own our cars. A lot of times people finance all of the things that they buy, whether it's furnishings or appliances or whatever, on credit cards or home improvement loans. The bank owns most of the stuff that all of us own. Right or wrong. It's the way the US economy has been manipulated. We live in a debt society. Some people have chosen to get out of that debt society, to get out of that debt cycle, and exactly, that's exactly my point right now. Some of us have chosen to not participate in that and are able to create an environment where we're not slaves to that debt, right? But that is not the case for the vast majority of people living in the United States. Most of people's stuff is owned by banks. And if you're one of those people that have found a way to not be part of that cycle, bravo, right? Bravo. I'm not there yet. We're making progress towards that. We did have to borrow some money for the upgrades to our septic system and some stuff like that. So we do have some debt in the house that we didn't want to have. But the van is almost paid off. I think we'll have that paid off in a year. The house is the house. We're paying ahead on the house, but it's going to take us a while to get it paid off. And then we do have a credit card bill for some other stuff, but we're functioning. We're not in a debt cycle where that's becoming a problem for us. There are some folks out there where that is absolutely a problem. But it could be very easy for that to tip those scales to tip the other way, and it could very quickly become a problem for us. And so we're actively trying for that. We're actively working towards getting that debt paid off so that it is not a problem for us. You never had any loans in your life. That's good. That's good. That's very good. We have created a society here in the United States where it's expected that you take on debt to create a life for yourself. And to your point, you never needed it, right? But there's a lot of people in this country that if it weren't for debt, they wouldn't make it. They wouldn't make it. And that's sad. That is extremely unfortunate. Like extremely unfortunate. Yeah, I have student loans. I have student loans, and I didn't even get my degree. I have student loans for a degree that I never got. And I'll be paying on those for the rest of my life. Maybe. Maybe. We do have Darth, that's a great point. There are a lot of people out there that very much want to live beyond their means. And who can blame them? In most cases, in a lot of cases. No, he's absolutely right, Istressy. Here in the United States, it is actively promoted to live beyond your means. If we don't live beyond our means, everyone, well, oh, I would absolutely love to know where all of my tax money goes. Some of it I'm going to be like, yep, I love that. That's perfect. That's great. I keep sending my money there. And there's also some of my money that goes places where I'm like, nope, I don't want my money to go there, but I can't make them stop. If it weren't for debt living, the U.S. mortality rate would be significantly higher than it currently is. There would, if it weren't for the debt cycle, if it weren't for debt living, there would be a lot more people that flat out don't make it. When there's medications that cost $300 in the U.S. and only $3 in Canada, that's bad. Yep, absolutely. And we know who that, and we know who those middle people are that are milking the money. It is, in a lot of cases, it's the pharmaceutical companies. How much is enough? I get it. I get the argument that it costs money to develop these drugs, and you have to recoup that money. I understand that. But when the drug is paid off, does the cost go down? When you've recouped the money for what it cost you to develop that, does the price go down? Many times the answer to that is no. How can you have more people in the EU than the US that and have less homelessness? Exactly. I had to go to Atlanta this week for a meeting. I had to go up there on Wednesday. I did not catch COVID this time. At least I don't think I did. But I had to go up to Atlanta on Wednesday this week for a meeting. It was the day after we announced the whole merger acquisition thing. And so the once corporate nirvana of the Norfolk Southern office building in Midtown Atlanta was not as corporate nirvana-ish as it once was. There was a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth, we'll say. But just on the drive into Atlanta, looking around the interstate to get to Midtown and looking at some of the street corners, I saw people sleeping on the sidewalk. I saw people sleeping under bridges. I saw tent cities under interchanges for the interstates. It's a lot. It's bad. The companies that make those drugs are here in Denmark. Are there in Denmark? That's true. There, Ozempic is one, I think, if I'm not. And Ozempic is one that I take. Now, I pay $25 for my Ozempic, but I have insurance. If I didn't have insurance, that Ozempic would cost me $1,000, roughly. All right, y'all. It's after 11. I've had my breakfast today, but I am getting hungry. It is time for lunch. So there is a sandwich upstairs with my name on it. Nova Nordic, yeah, that's the company. They make, I think they make Ozempic and Wegovy. Maybe they make semaglutides. I'm pretty sure they make Ozempic for sure. It's only 8 a.m. It's 11 here, and I got to get some lunch. I'm getting hungry. My insides are starting to eat my insides. Yes, it is absolutely a middleman for sure. So, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I do appreciate it very much. We've had a great conversation today about a bunch of different topics. So, bravo for the conversation. Thank you all for keeping me company today, helping me work through some stuff. I do appreciate it very much. Next Saturday, we'll be back in Minecraft. We're gonna do some vanilla stuff next week. There's a project that I wanna work on that is gonna make our sorting system in the warehouse better. And it has to do with reconfiguring the ice and water streams. So that's going to be a big project. I don't know if we can get it done in 2 hours, but we are certainly going to try. Anyway, thank you all so much. We'll come back. We'll do this again next week. Play some games next week. You are all invited. But until then, I love you to pieces, but get off my lawn. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye. I can't find the right button. Here, stream ending. Goodbye.